everyone, and welcome to what we're certain won't be a complicated build at all. Unless you came into this video blind, you know that we're doing the BRAT FINK for Clint Street Machines. Now, for whatever reason, this body has 4 headlights. Clint's only has 2, but I don't think that'll be an issue. In point of fact, we're not even going to use the grille or the hood. We'll be walking a fine line between cartoonish and reality on this one. When Foggy first saw the BRAT FINK, she knew she wanted to be a part of the build, so we're going to be flipping back and forth throughout the process. Now, speak of the devil.
Hey guys, Foggy here. It's been a while since I got dirty on a build, so I thought I'd give it a go with the BRAT FINK. Plus, it's cool as hell. Please excuse my monotone. I just got off a 10-hour shift and my sanity is hanging on by a thread. While I tear these cars down, let me explain why we're not going to use all of the parts. For this build, we wanted to walk a fine line between realistic and cartoonish. But honestly, the BRAT FINK leans more toward cartoonish. That being said, it still has to fit inside a blister. In order to make this brat look like the BRAT FINK, I had to first remove the roll bar and then the lights to make room for the topper. Okay, time for the goo. As Vic would say, I had to do this the hard way. I don't remember exactly why I chose to do it the hard way, but it probably had something to do with Vic telling me to do it a different way. Nobody telling me was right. It'll be our little secret. I'm giggling as I edit this because it looks like I'm beating the crap out of this car. However, it should be noted that I was doing this one-handed. I had just finished painting my nails and I didn't want to mess up my manicure. Here I am proving the hard way still works. The paint came off, but I don't recommend it.
Well, now that Foggy's done prepping it, I'm going to cut out the grille and the hood and see if we can't size that giant motor that Clint's putting in it. I'd like to explain that line that I was talking about earlier. You know, the one that we're going to be walking between cartoonish and reality. I want the car to look like it could exist in the real world, but I also don't want it to look too realistic. If you've ever seen the real BRAT FINK, then you kind of understand what I'm talking about. So to that end, we're going to put a gigantic motor in it, put the side pipes on it and whatnot, but generally speaking, it's going to look like a real car.
Here's some bonus footage of me trying to get out the last stubborn bits of paint. I know there's going to be an "I told you so" from Vic in the captions.
There's really not that much explanation that needs to go on here. I'm creating a rough draft of the topper so that we can start the sizing for it. Wasn't it Michelangelo that said the sculpture's within the stone? All I did was remove the excess. Yeah, that's sort of the process I'm attempting right here. Yeah, that sort of looks like a topper. Let's get it off to the printer and get it on the truck. Well, that didn't work out quite the way I thought it would. Now, just to make sure that the motor sits in the engine compartment, I'm going to have to remove this section of the interior that they use as braces for the axles. If my calculations are correct, then I'm going to be able to use the engine to hold the axles down anyway, so we really don't need this. Regardless, I'm going to try to save the axle hold downs for ease of assembly. And would you look at that? It's an engine compartment. Now, Clint has these nifty cutouts on the backside of the wheel wells on the front fenders. The exhaust headers run out of the fenders and into some side pipes, so I'm going to try to replicate that. I'll push this pin file through the hole and see if we can't size it correctly. Yeah, it's going to be a weird angle, but we'll just chalk that up to being cartoonish. So to try to make it just a hair more realistic, I'm going to cut these headers up and stick them out the fenders to see if they'll fit. It's only now in the edit that I realize that I really didn't need to do any of this. It does look pretty good though. And after no less than 10 prints, this is where we're at. I actually wasn't kidding about the 10 print thing. Look at all these extra pieces I've got. I think it's time to start picking and choosing what will and will not look good on the truck and then start getting this thing put back together. I mean, if nothing else, at least I've got an excess of parts now. Maybe we should talk to the No Name Nationals community and let Clint start designing other people's cars. There's going to be a lot of sanding, grinding, fitment, placement, all kinds of stuff going on over the next few minutes, so enjoy the show. Alrighty, that's enough fooling with my own parts. Let's start working on the Mattel parts and make them look more like the BRAT FINK. First things first, I've got to start rounding off some of these edges so that they don't look so, let's call them real. Okay, let's start getting this thing put back together. I'm going to start with the topper and make sure that it looks all right. Then I'm going to move on from there. I eventually figured out that I didn't need to do the two-part epoxy, but how cool is it that I've got surgical gloves for this?
Paging Dr. Mackey. Dr. Mackey, you're needed at Diecast 101.
Yeah, it's finally starting to look like something. Let's get this thing ground down and put it into paint. It was about here that I found my first flaw with the paddle wheel. It doesn't do anywhere near as well as a sanding wheel does on the plastics.
Before we show you the final product, I just want to take this time to thank Clint from Clint Street Machines for allowing me to be a part of this build. It was a tough one, but it was really fun to do. With that, it's on to the glamour shots.